Each week, I host 1 or 2 forums in the district on topics vital to your life. Here is a tape of one of those forums.
Good morning, everyone. So just what we're going to cover today. So we're going to cover some fall facts, specifically facts that relate to older adults and their risk of falling, how to recognize your risk. I'm going to show you guys some very simple balance and strengthening exercises that we incorporate into our fall prevention programs at North Shore, how to get up from a fall, ideas for keeping your balance, making sure that you stay balanced, home safety, vision safety, your footwear safety, and medication safety. So these are all problems that older adults face in relation to fall prevention and increasing or decreasing their fall risk. So the falls are not an inevitable part of aging. So everyone thinks that they are going to fall just because they get older. You get older, you're going to fall down. It's just a fact of life, and that's not the case. Falls are 100% preventable. So we like to remind everybody that there are things that you can do to help reduce your risk. So 1 in 3 adults fall every year who are over the age of 65, and that number goes up to 1 in 2 over the age of 80. 1 in 5 falls results in an injury. So a big problem that we see at the hospital is that people fall down, but they don't get hurt, so they don't talk to their doctor about it. Okay? And that's not necessarily the best thing, because if you're falling, we want to know why you're falling and what we can do to help you prevent it from happening again. So that's a very big thing, that people don't report their falls. So in fact, we estimate that these numbers are actually going to be higher than we actually report. Okay? 25% of older adults, which is somebody who's age 65 or above, who falls and fractures their hip, will unfortunately die within the year. Okay? That's not as a direct result of the fall, but it's a result of complications as a result of the fall. Okay? This is a national statistic. This is not something that is just from our hospital. This is all across the country. And then medical costs associated with falls account for nearly $34 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars annually in medical costs. That doesn't include in if you have a fall and now your son or daughter needs to take care of you, so now they need to miss work. That doesn't include for the non-tangible costs of your lack of independence, any fear that might develop as a future fall. So this is a huge risk, and this is something that we can 100% work on and preventing. So how do we recognize your risk? So there's a few questions that you can ask yourself. Have you fallen in the past year? Okay? I'm seeing some nodding happening in the audience here today. Okay? If you fell, were you injured? Okay? I'm seeing some yeses and some nos around. All right? Do you have difficulty getting out of a chair? Okay, some yeses, some nos again. Do you feel unsteady when you're walking or standing? Do you take any medications? So one thing that people don't understand about medication and you're increasing your risk of falls is that over-the-counter medications also count in your medication list. Okay, we want to know all of the medications from your multivitamin to your blood thinner that you're taking, and we want to know everything in between, all right? And those count in increasing your risk of falls, because you might not realize, but a medication might interact with a multi-supplement or a over-the-counter medication that you're taking. Your prescription medication might not work with that. Okay? Do you feel lightheaded and dizzy? So when you're getting up and down from a chair, from out of your bed, all right? Do you have any kind of blood pressure issues? And then do you have any trouble with your vision? So trouble with your vision goes from myself, I wear contacts, so I have trouble with my vision. I am blind as a bat without my contacts in, to somebody who suffers from a common ailment, if you will, okay, that's related to your vision. I'm going to show you some balance and strength exercises. Okay, they're all listed on the screen here. I'm going to demonstrate them from this chair right here. And in your packets, they're also in your packet as well, so that you can read along with them if you take them home. So I'm going to do my exercises, but I think it's better if I take off my very high heels to demonstrate the exercises, because we don't want you guys to wear the heels when you are doing it. So the first exercise is called the sit to stand. So this is a balance exercise that is very useful in everyday life. So what you do is, if you're sitting in the chair, we always want you to have your back supported. So you're going to fill the chair. So if you're petite like me, your feet might not touch the ground. Okay? So the first thing that you would want to do is you would want to scooch forward to the end of the chair so that you can have your feet firmly planted on the ground. Okay? You're going to pull your feet back just a little bit so that they're just slightly behind your knees. You're going to lean forward so that we have a saying at the hospital. It's called nose over toes. Okay? And then we always prefer, if you can sit in a chair with arms, that you do. You're going to use the arms of the chair and you're going to push yourself up. Just like that. And then you're going to do the reverse on the way back down. So what you're going to do is you're going to feel the chair behind your knees, and then you're going to reach back for the arms, and then you're going to sit into the chair. Okay? That's how you would do that exercise. What you would want to do is you would want to do it 5 times, 10 times, 20 times. Start with 5. If you feel comfortable, then you can move it up to more. As it gets more and more easy for you to do this exercise, what you would want to do is you would want to maybe do it with one hand, so you could push up with one arm instead of 2. And then if that gets very easy, you could do no hands and you could cross your arms over your chest to do this. Now remember, this is an exercise. This isn't your life. So when you guys get up from your chairs here, we would recommend that you use the arms to balance yourself. When you're doing this, you're doing it as an exercise to challenge yourself to help increase your balance. So the next exercise in my classes is always one of the least favorites because it's a very challenging exercise. So we always like to say that you're going to stand on the drunk line and then you're going to walk on the drunk line. So the drunk line, you know, you get pulled over by the cops and they make you walk a straight line, heel toe. That's exactly what you're going to do. You're going to put your feet in a heel toe position, which would be like this. Okay? You're going to make sure that your weight is evenly distributed between your front and your back foot. Okay? And then you want to make sure that you're looking straight ahead when you're doing this. Part of the reason for that is that when a lot of people want to look down at their feet when they do this exercise, but when they do that, they go way back and they throw themselves off balance. So you want to make sure that you keep your eyes pointed forward at the wall. And then you would hold it 5 seconds, 10 seconds, increase it as it gets easier for you. Always do the exercise, this one in particular, with something next to you, a sturdy chair, a kitchen counter, anything like that. And then you would switch sides. All right, you want to do everything on one side that you do on the other. And then the other exercise would be that you want to walk the drunk line. So now we're going to walk the drunk line. Again, it's like you're walking on a tightrope, heel toe, heel toe. So you'd want to do this with a counter along your kitchen counter, along your bathroom counter, something like that. And then you would turn around and you go back the other way. So we would have, again, 5 steps, 10 steps, 15 steps, 20 steps. These are exercises that you can do that will challenge your balance to increase your balance, okay? The next one is, and people always see this one, is sideways walking. And they always say, this is so silly, why am I walking sideways? So the exercise is to walk sideways, okay? Just like that, and then you go back the other way. Now, one idea that I always say to make this real life, how do you make this real life? What does that exercise work to? All you guys who got into the middle seats, how'd you get to your seat, right? You go to the movies, how do you get down the aisle to your seat? You're walking sideways. So these are practical applications for these exercises, just so that you know that they're not just made up. We have a reason for them and why they're evidence-based and everything like that. So the next exercises is going to be 4 strengthening exercises. So we're going to do heel raises. So what you would do is, again, you would have a kitchen counter, a sturdy chair in front of you, and then you're going to lift yourself up onto your toes. So you're going to raise your heels up and then go back down. All of these motions should be done very, very slowly, okay, so that it challenges you, all right, so that you're not using momentum. Okay, and then the other exercise that we're going to do is we're going to go out to the side with our leg. So as if you're on a ballerina pole, you're going to take your leg and then go out to the side and then bring it back in and then go out to the side, and then bring it back in. Again, start with 5, work your way up to 10, 15, 20, so on and so forth. Okay? The next exercise is that we're going to do these sitting down, is these recommendations for this exercise. This one, all right, is called a toe raise. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit in a chair. You're going to make sure that your knee and your ankle are directly below each other. Okay, straight line down from the two. And then you're going to raise your toes up. Okay? And just like that. And you start with 5, work to 10, so on and so forth. What does that do? That makes sure that when you're walking down the street, you're not going to catch your toe because you're shuffling. Okay? That's what that would do. And then the last exercise that we have is your knee strengthening one. So what you would want to do is you want to make sure that you're from the end of your knee all the way back is completely supported. So a bed would be a great place to do this exercise. And what you're going to do is you're just going to hang your feet off to the side of the bed, and then you're going to lift your leg up, okay? Toes to the ceiling when you do it, and then you're going to drop it back down. And then bring it back up, and then drop it back down. And that would be another exercise for strength. So those are exercises that we incorporate into all of our fall prevention programs at the hospital. And they're very simple things that you can do at home. You can do them while you're cooking breakfast, while you're brushing your teeth, whatever you want to do. And they don't take a lot of time. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on the exercises? Yep.
You have these in a booklet?
They're in your bag, all stapled together for you. It says simple balance exercises on the form for you, but they're all in that black bag that everybody should have gotten when they came in this morning. And then the next thing that we're going to do is, I know that sometimes people who suffer from a fall don't know how to get back up, okay? So say an example that I like to give is, you fell in the parking lot at the grocery store, okay? You're flustered, you don't know what to do, a lot of times you're embarrassed, and somebody comes rushing over to you, and they try to help you up, right? What do we recommend? We recommend that you let them be your support, but you try to get yourself up, because you're going to know if you're in pain, okay, rather than them just scooping you up and putting you on your feet, because that might injure you further. It might cause an injury. You don't know, okay? So this is what we recommend. If you fall down, take a moment, collect yourself, okay? Do a little head-to-toe assessment of yourself. Am I feeling okay? Do I feel like I could get up? All right. If you can get up from the fall, I'm going to show you how you do that. If you can't get up from the fall, this would be when, if you have a life alert pendant or something like that, you could press it and help could come, either bring you to the emergency room, get you up, whatever is necessary. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fall down here. Okay? So I fell down. I'm in my living room at home. So if I fell face first, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stick your arm out, okay, so that you can roll onto your side. So then what you're going to do is you're going to roll over, okay, and then you're going to pull your knees up to this so that you're in like a sleeping position. Then you're going to take your arm, make a little T like this, okay. You're going to go up onto your 2 hands, and then you're going to push yourself to a hands and knees position. Now this allows me to crawl over, okay, as long as I'm feeling okay, to a chair, to a step, whatever it is. So now I can climb up onto the chair. I can do one leg, the other leg, and then turn around and put yourself in the chair. Okay? Again, all of these are in your packet, so if you ever have any questions, you can relate to those. And then if you don't feel good, if you still feel ill, if you feel like you hit your head and you're on any kind of blood thinner, please do call for help, see a doctor, anything like that, because that's very, very important. Okay? Does anybody have any questions on that? Yeah.
Well, suppose there's no chair nearby.
So what you could do is, if there's a staircase or a piece of furniture, a coffee table, you could use the same kind of logic. You could do the same thing if it were a car. You could walk over to their tire if you fell on the sidewalk. You could walk over to a tire, put your arms on the top of a tire and stand up. You might not necessarily have somewhere to sit, but you could get yourself to a standing position. The other option is if, say, you fell face first, but if you were on your knees and you say you fell and you hurt your knees, instead of rolling over onto your knees, you could roll over onto your tush, and then you could scoot yourself somewhere if you have to, okay? And generally, what we like to think is that if you have access to a low phone in your house, you could get to your phone. That way, if you have the Life Alert pendant, you could use the Life Alert pendant to call for help. Yep.
Is it true that most elderly people like fall, they break their hip? But I heard that the hip broke first. That's why they fell.
That's really hard for us to...
I hear that a lot.
That's really hard to prove. That's like what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yeah.
So did they step off of the curb wrong and then break their hip and that resulted in the fall, or did they fall, lose their balance just a little bit and then they fell and broke their hip? It's really hard for us to decipher that. It all results in the same, you know.
Yeah, it's just curious.
Yeah. So that's the other side of the coin.
Especially as your bones become more porous.
More porous and brittle, exactly. So, you know, especially with women who suffer from maybe some serious osteoporosis and things like that, it's very easy for them to step off of a curb or a stair and maybe jostle it just enough to do something, and then that results in their fall. It's hard to give a definite yes or no on that. Any other questions on that? Yep.
Supposing the person has Alzheimer's, how do you communicate and get them to do what you...
A lot of times what we would recommend is that you would then assist them into that position, okay? So if you're telling them to roll over, you could help them into the rolling over position. Or just immediately call for help in that scenario. Call 911, your EMS, whatever agency you're going to use, and have them, because they're going to be properly trained. And somebody who does have Alzheimer's, especially in advanced stage, would definitely need to be checked out at a hospital because they might not necessarily be able to properly convey all of the injuries or symptoms that they might be feeling. Okay? Any other questions on the fall aspect? Yep.
What do you recommend for someone who is not very sturdy on their feet?
Well, we recommend the exercises as a routine. Balance and strengthening courses that exist in communities. For example, there's Stepping On is an older adult fall prevention program. Tai Chi is an amazing program related to fall prevention. There's other programs like Otago and things like that that are all related to increasing someone's balance.
I'm talking about like a walker, a cane, a four-prong cane.
Well, again, so they may require something more specific like physical therapy to make them more steady. Okay, making sure that a cane is going to be properly suited for your height and for your needs. Okay, maybe you have a cane but you really should be using a walker. Maybe you have a walker that you don't necessarily need and you should be using a cane. Things like that, those definitely need to be addressed with a doctor or physical therapist. That's not something that's so individualized that they would need to be very focused and targeted on that one person. Okay? Yep.
About a walker, I just noticed that when I'm in a supermarket or a store and I have a wagon,
Right.
that's the easiest I have to walk.
Right.
I've had a walker, they're not particularly the same.
Right.
How come, is there something wrong with using those supermarket things, that they don't put that kind of thing out for, you know, older people?
Again, I think this is that would be something, especially at the end of the program, they're going to be doing fall risk assessments, I believe. That would be something you would definitely want to discuss with the physical therapist in the back of the room, because they may be able to better address why you feel more balanced using that rather than, you know, a cane or something.
So you're saying that they don't put that out because the walkers are better for you?
If you need a walker, And I mean, sometimes you just feel more balanced having something to hold on to. But again, that would be something that a physical therapist would need to address with you, because that may be to the point where you might need physical therapy to get your balance and strength back up, as compared to something where, you know, if you're just a little unsteady, but you don't rely on something so heavily, that a fall prevention program, community-based, might work better for you. Sometimes people come to my fall prevention programs and they have such bad balance issues that I can't help them. I refer them back to their general doctors to get scripts for physical therapy, and let somebody that is their only job, is to help somebody in those kinds of situations.
Can physical therapy actually help your balance capability?
Well, they would give you exercises to, hopefully, there's no guarantees to increase your balance. They may do other exercises that aren't included. They might do some more physical therapy related treatments. Again, so the physical therapist will be able to do risk assessments with you at the end, and they'll be able to cover all of that. Okay? Yep.
What's the best way to lift someone up that can't get up?
Depends. So, are they injured and they can't get up, or are they, you're not strong enough to get themselves up, or they're not strong enough to lift themselves up? So weakness typically would be, again, just to help them, okay, get to, you still want them to do it themselves, because if they're injured, they're going to know before you cause more damage by lifting them up and just lurching them, again, or calling an emergency medical service, an EMT, 911, to have them come, because they'll be properly trained on how to get people up off the ground. That's the most important part there, is that if you're doing it yourself and you're getting yourself up from a fall, you'll be able to recognize pain before somebody else can, okay? But if you're helping them, you might hurt them faster than they could recognize that they're in pain. So that would be why a EMT would be the best person if you're on the ground and you can't get up, to really help you up, because they're going to be trained on the proper ways to do that. Okay? Just like a physical therapist would be trained on, they know all of those techniques as well, but they've been trained and they went through a lot of schooling on how to do these activities. Any other questions related to how to get up from a fall before I go on to the next topics? I've covered it for you guys. Okay, so I'm just going to throw my shoes back on here.
Question.
Yep.
To prevent the fall, which is better, to walk in bare feet or in stocking feet?
Never in stocking feet.
Thank you.
Yes. Never in stocking feet.
Or socks,
Or socks. Nothing like that.
even if you have carpeting?
Yeah, we don't recommend them. We would recommend a slipper that has a heel on it. We're going to go over that in the footwear section. We actually cover all of that. But so that's how you would get up from the fall, and then we'll go over shoe safety, which I'm 100% breaking that rule today.
I know, I heard you yell, Scott.
Yep. So keeping your balance. So what we wanted to remind everybody is the biggest thing, rule number one, is think before you move, okay? Think about what you're doing, all right? Don't rush. In my programs, I have 3 rules: no rushing, no shuffling, and no plopping, okay? Because these are all things that can lead to falls. So those are my 3 rules. So if you think before you do something, you're going to reduce your risk of falling, okay? Remember, posture, posture, posture. They always said when I was a kid that practice makes perfect. Well, perfect posture will reduce your falls, reduce your risk of falling. So we want to remember that, all right? Poor posture can lead to pain, can lead to injuries, can lead to your increased risk of falling. So when you sit, like I said, you want to think 90, 90, 90, okay? You want to have 90 degrees from your stomach to your hips, so you want to be turned, you want to sit upright, and then you want to have 90 degrees to your knees as well, and then you want to have your feet straight down, okay? Sit on a chair with a firm back, so these are great because these have a nice firm back for everyone, and armrests. And then when you're moving a heavy object, my best recommendation is if you can have somebody move it for you, please do that. But sometimes that's not always the case, right? So make sure you use your legs, okay? Don't lift with your back, because that can A, lead to a fall, it can lead to injuring your back, and then bend your knees, not your waist, okay? So that's a long-standing rule of lift with your legs, not with your back, but it's sometimes something that's forgotten, okay? And that's how injuries happen. Anybody have any questions related to that? Yep.
In regards to posture, it's hard to keep one's eyes straight ahead when you're concerned about tripping on something that's on the ground.
Right. So what we would recommend then is, and this is how we recommend everybody walk, is that they scan the ground ahead of them. So you're not going to look directly at the wall. Okay, so I'm not going to walk looking here, but I'm going to walk looking 6 to 10 feet in front of me. Okay, that way I know if any tripping hazards are coming up, and I can adjust my path accordingly. So if I'm walking and I see that there's a trash can in my way, I can preemptively walk around the trash can rather than stumbling into it and then maybe bumping and losing my balance. So you would want to look down, but you would want to look down about 6 to 10 feet away from your feet.
Many of the sidewalks that we have are uprooted due to trees.
Right, yep.
And they're pretty close. You gotta
Right.
anticipate them.
Again, so that would be why you would want to look ahead so that you know it's coming, okay? And you can plan accordingly. So if you see that the sidewalk is heaved on one side but not the other, okay, you can know to walk to one side of that sidewalk and adjust your pathway if you have to. Or you can know that in 3 steps you're going to have to lift your foot a little bit higher, okay? But what happens is when you look straight down at your feet, you throw yourself off balance when you look straight down. That's why you want to look that way, because that'll keep you in balance and in good posture, and then you still know what's coming. Any other questions in regards to that? Home safety. So since most falls happen at home, we want to know how to make our homes safest. So one thing that we always like to remind people of is the importance of proper lighting. So making sure that you have night lights, make sure that you are not walking into a dark room, making sure that a room is properly lit so that you can see any and all possible objects, and then making sure that both your walkways that are indoors and outdoors are well lit. Okay? You want to make sure that your pathway leading up to your front door is lit so that if you come home at night, because everybody knows up in New York when it's wintertime, it's like 4:30 and it's already dark out. So you can very easily still be outside. Doesn't mean you're coming home in the middle of the night. Okay? And then bathroom safety. We want to remind people to use non-slip mats outside of their tubs, okay, something that has a very good rubber surface. If that rubber mat starts to deteriorate and dry out, it will lose its non-slip capabilities and its properties, so that would become a slipping hazard. Have grab bars professionally installed or properly installed if you know somebody who can do it for you, okay? The grab bars that are suction cupped onto the wall, we really do not like, because the suction cups can get loose, and then if you pull on it and you don't realize it's loose, it might come right off in your hand, resulting in your fall. So you want to make sure that a grab bar is properly screwed in to a stud, and so those types of things. We want to use a raised toilet seat, a raised shower seat if necessary, so that you can prevent yourself from slipping in the shower or trying to get yourself off the toilet and making it more challenging than it has to be. So these are some examples. So this picture up on the left there is a nice hallway that has night lights all the way down, leading from one room to the other. And then this is our ideal bathroom. It's got some grab bars in the tub, outside the tub, so that you can properly get yourself and safely get yourself anywhere you need to go in the bathroom. Yep.
You mentioned that you should bend down because of your back, and I've gone through my back, but I have a mat in the bathtub. And many times I want to remove it.
Right. So bathtub mats, they're great if they're used properly, but a lot of people don't use them properly. So they're supposed to be removed every time so that you can ensure that they're going onto a dry bathtub, because if they're not, like I said, with the ones that are on the suction cup walls, the grab bars, they can get loose and then they just become a slipping hazard on their own. So then what you would want to do is, rather than bending down, you would want to bend with your knees down to the tub. So you could go down and get it out of the tub.
No, this is after I'm at, when I'm in the tub, I fell once in the tub. Mm-hmm. This is when I get off the tub. And my problem is I have 3 operations in my knees, so I can't bend down on my knees.
Right. So maybe considering something, an alternative to a bath mat then might be something that you might want to consider. They have resurfacing that you can do to tubs, sticker type, very industrial strength things that you could put in tubs. That might be something you want to consider rather than a bath mat that you would have to remove. Or talk to the physical therapist. Maybe they can give you some exercises and maneuvers to better get that kind of for activities of daily living. Okay?
I do want to say, I have I have a new walk-in, and you don't need a mat.
Right.
It's amazing. There's just no way you could slip.
Right, yep.
That resurfacing is really good.
Really good.
I
Yep.
recommend that.
Yep. I've never actually seen it, but I've heard fantastic things about.
Just walking with your back beat, you're not.
You're not going to fall.
Slip.
So any questions in regards to home safety on that? Oh, those aspects? Because now we're going to go on to securing your walkways. So don't use throw rugs. That's our number one. Okay, if you have that capability. If you have to use a throw rug, making sure that it's tacked down, that you're using the proper type of carpet tape or underlayment for it to keep your carpet down. Make sure that you're using a bright color on the top and bottom stairs of your walkways. So if you have steps to a basement or outside to get out of your house, make sure that you can clearly see the top and bottom step. Make sure that your walkways are free of clutter. And I know that especially for outside walkways, this one is always particularly hard because people have flower pots or they have their pumpkins at Halloween and they put things and decorations on their walkways. But do try to keep your sidewalks and walkways as free of clutter as you can, because those become tripping hazards. Okay? You might not remember, you might lose your balance a little bit and stumble into them. That might cause you to fall. So these are some very easy tips. And then of course, we want to make sure that all of your wires are tucked away and not causing tripping hazards, because everyone's tripped over a wire once or twice in their life, whether it be from an extension cord. So we want to make sure that that's all tucked away. So some other tips is we want to make sure that you have secure railings. If you can have a railing on both sides, that's the best option, because some people have good legs and bad legs, and they might like the railing on one side in particular on the way up and that same side on the way down. And if you only have one railing, it's going to be on the opposite side. So installing your handrails on the inside and the outside of your house, making sure that your front steps have handrails, your back steps, cleaning up spills immediately, okay? I know it seems silly, but somebody leaves a spill, you splash some water. When you're doing the dishes, you forget because you've done the dishes for a little bit and now all of a sudden there's a wet spot on your floor. Please ask for help. I know most people have somebody who's going to be willing to help them do something around the house, whether that's get something off of a high shelf or rotating your mattress, whatever it is, because I've heard every story in the book. And then changing light bulbs and moving furniture. Again, ask for help when you're doing these kinds of activities. Okay? So now we're going to talk about vision. So we all get used to living with vision that's not quite right, but it happens so gradually that we don't even really realize, okay? So what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have your eyes checked regularly, whether that's every 6 months if you're on that kind of a regimen, or every year, okay, at the absolute minimum. Ask your doctor if you have any kind of medical conditions that might affect your vision, okay? Do you have a medical condition that he's put you on a prescription for that might cause blurry vision, okay? You want to make sure that you understand all of the risks associated that can be related to it. Cleaning your glasses regularly, okay? Making sure that what you're looking through is crystal clear so that you have no impediment, no fog, anything like that. And then bifocals and progressives, make sure you're looking through the top of the lens when you're looking at distance, okay? Because if you're looking at the wrong part of the lens when you're looking at the close-up section of your lens, when you're trying to look through distance, it can distort your vision and make it into a tripping hazard for you, okay? So we're going to talk about just some very basic vision problems that people have, especially as they get older. So the first one that we like to talk about is cataracts. And we just like to give you some signs and symptoms of it. So it's generally a cloud, blurred, or dim vision. You have increasingly difficult night vision, and you see halos around lights. So this picture right next to it here, the left would be normal vision, and then the right would be what you would see if you have cataracts. Okay? Then you go down to macular degeneration. There's wet or dry. So you have visual distortions, whereas a straight line might seem curved, it might not meet up, okay? It might have a little jog to it. Reduced central vision, and then a need for brighter light when you're doing anything close up. And then as you can see the picture next to that, you have normal vision, and then you have, as you would see with macular degeneration, okay? So if you see any of these signs or symptoms, you would definitely want to talk to your doctor about them. The next one is glaucoma. You have open-angle glaucoma, which will have patchy blind spots, tunnel vision. And then you have acute angle glaucoma, which would be a severe headache, eye pain, blurred vision that's very rapidly onset. That would be something that you would want to seek medical attention for immediately. If you have any kind of those severe headache, severe eye pain, blurred vision that just randomly came out of nowhere, that would be something you would definitely want to seek medical attention for. And then there's your picture. You have normal vision, and then you have glaucoma next to it. And then on the last one here, we have diabetic retinopathy, and you have floaters or spots. You get the patchy vision, the blurred, and then you get the darker empty spots.
Aren't the floaters normal?
So floaters are different though. So like where you can see them, okay, it's different than the floaters that they're talking about here, okay. This would be, you definitely want to.
Your eyes closed in this.
Right, yeah, that's a whole different set of floaters.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So footwear. So I'm breaking all the rules today with the footwear, but that's okay. So what you're wearing on your feet can very commonly be overlooked as a fall hazard. So common foot problems that can lead to you being more prone to falling is lack of feeling or tingling in your feet, arthritis, okay, nail problems, fungus, bunions, muscle weakness, toe deformities. All of these things are very common ailments that can lead to someone's increased risk of falling. So what we have do's and don'ts. We want loafers, something with a low heel that has a closed back. Okay, a Velcro closure if you can, making sure that you always have your shoelaces tied, no skid and non-friction soles, and sneakers that don't have an overly large sole. Okay, you don't want to have something that's no sole, but you don't want to have something that has a huge sole either. Okay, so the don'ts are flip-flops are an absolute no. And flip-flops, does anybody have any idea why flip-flops are an absolute no?
They're not secure anywhere.
They're not secure anywhere, right? So what do? You either shuffle your feet to keep them on so that you're constantly kicking your feet in, or you scrunch your toes up in them to keep your foot in them, which is the same concept that we like to apply to open back slippers or open back shoes, which is why we really don't like anything that doesn't have a heel on it, because you adjust your toes and you adjust the way you walk to make sure you're keeping your foot in your shoe all the time, which then leads to shuffling, which can lead to a fall. So no backless shoes. We don't like socks only, no stocking feet, and then no extra thick soles, okay? Unless, of course, they're prescribed by a doctor or something like that, but if you go to the store, yep.
What about barefoot? Going barefoot?
You know what? In the house, it depends, okay? You can have calluses that can be very, very dry and slippery. So if you have any kind of tile, that can lead to, something like that. So it's really a touchy. We recommend that you wear a sneaker, a slipper, something that has a sole on it that's is gonna grip, as long as it's a proper shoe. okay?
I'm not sure what you mean by a big sole. Is this a big sole?
No,
Okay,
no,
good.
that's like a walking, running shoe. I don't think I see anybody with any big soles around here. And then medication safety. So there's 10 steps for success. Number 1 is know your medications, okay? And know what you're taking them for. A medication can be prescribed for one thing, okay, one type of ailment, but it can also be prescribed for another. So if you give your doctor a list of all the medications you're on, you also want to know why you're taking it. What is that medication treating? Making sure that you take them exactly as they're directed, okay? These are so important. Reading all of your medication labels and your written instructions before you start taking them so that you understand what any risks associated with taking that medication are. Do they increase your risk of falling by making you drowsy, possibly having blurred vision, okay? So, you know the labels that says do not operate heavy machinery when you're on this medication? All right? We like to think of your body as heavy machinery, okay? If you shouldn't be driving the car, you should be careful when you're walking, okay? So prescriptions are only for one person. I can't tell you how many times we hear, oh, well, you know, my friend Susie, she has this medication and it makes her feel great. So she gave me 1 or 2 of her pills. Please don't share your medications and don't take someone else's medications. Make sure you check the expiration dates on your prescriptions. Store all your medications in one location, okay? So that should an event happen where emergency technicians, EMTs need to come into your house, that they can find them. Don't make some medications in the kitchen, some medications in the bathroom, some medications at your bedside. Make sure you keep them in one location. If you can, use only one pharmacy, okay? That will help reduce any kind of complications in relation to drugs interacting with each other, because if you get one medication at Walgreens, and then you get another medication at CVS, and then you get another medication at Charlie's, what happens? They don't know that you're taking all these other medications necessarily, and any interactions that might happen. Call your doctor, okay, if any of these medications are making you feel sick, weak, dizzy, anything like that. And then make sure you keep a current list of your medications with you, okay? Very, very important to make sure you have that, because what if something happens and you're not at home and you get taken to the hospital, right? We want to know what medications you're on when you walk in the door. So those are the tips. And then my biggest one, I didn't put it on here because 11 just didn't really work for me, but if you have any questions about your medications that you're taking, your best resource is going to be your pharmacist. Ask questions, okay? Most of the time when you get your pharmacy, your prescriptions, it's not the pharmacist who's actually handing them to you, because they're still back there doing work. But if you have a question, they'll come over and they'll discuss it with you. You have to sign that you had any of your questions answered. So if you have a question about it, about what medications and how is this going to interact with anything else, if you have any concerns, ask. Ask, ask, ask. And then the other thing is a lot of pharmacies do what they call brown bag days, where you bring all of your medications in your brown bag, and they'll sit down with you and talk to you about your medications and what they do, when you should take them. Maybe you need to allow an hour, 2 hours in between these 2 medications. So look for events like that in your community. Okay? And then, so you want to know, medications that can increase your risk of falling, okay? Any kind of antidepressant, anti-anxiety medications. Sleeping medications can increase your risk of falling. Diuretics. Those are 3 of the most common medications that can greatly increase your risk of falling. And then you want to be aware of any of the side effects. Do you feel unsteady on your feet when you have it? Are you confused at all? Does it lead to any kind of lack of short-term memory, long-term memory, anything like that? Do you have blurred, doubled vision? Do you feel drowsy or dizzy? And then keeping your medication card. If you're on any kind of blood thinner, okay, make sure that it is clearly noted on your medication card. Star it, asterisk, highlight, whatever it is you have to do to make sure that the doctors, the EMTs are all aware that you are on a blood thinning medication. Okay? And then think that's it. So what can you guys do to help reduce your risks? You can participate in community fall prevention programs. You can ask your doctor, okay? Please make sure you talk to your doctor about this program. Say you went to this program and you tell them you went to this program and you want to talk about your fall risk, okay? Go to a physical therapist if you feel like you need to. You have to be your own best health advocate. So be your voice, okay? Don't be shy about asking questions, okay? They should know the answer. If they don't know the answer, they should be able to point you in the right direction of somebody who does know the right answer. So for a perfect example, I'm not a physical therapist. I'm a community health educator. So my recommendation, if you guys have very specific questions related to balance and strengthening exercises that can't be applied to the general population, I'm going to point you in the right direction of a physical therapist. Okay? Be aware of your surroundings, what's in front of you, what you may or may not trip over. And then like I said, my 3 rules: never rush, plop, or shuffle. Okay? And those are 3 rules that should help you get by a little bit safer. Okay? Does anybody have any questions in regards to anything that I went over today? No? Yeah?
What was the second rule you just mentioned?
Plopping?
Yeah, what's plopping?
Oh, plopping. Oh, you're a plopper? So a plopping is into the chair. No plopping. It's not allowed. So none of this into the chairs. You want to sit down into the chair like you mean it. Okay? Oh, jeez. So that was that one. Yep.
This baby aspirin considered a blood thinner.
Yes. Yes. So again, so you're taking it for that purpose to slightly thin your blood, and we do want to know about that. 100%. Anything else? Yep.
I have the feeling of being frightened.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how.
So, addressing that with your doctor, okay, and are you having the fall risk assessment done today? After this, with the physical therapist in the back?
I guess you will.
Okay. If you do that, they'll be able to maybe give you some pointers, okay? Because what might be the case is that you're unsteady, so then you feel frightened and then you don't get as active. So having somebody who really can create a prescribed plan for you on how to make yourself more steady on your feet, okay, could help reduce that fear, okay? Because a lot of times fear is a result of feeling unsteady and maybe having a past fall, that a physical therapist would be the one that maybe could help you figure out how to make yourself more steady on your feet. Okay? Anything? Yep.
I just want to add, and you were very thorough, but my mom and dad, on their list of medications, they also have what they're allergic to.
Absolutely. 100%. In your bags, actually, there is that black bag that I think everybody got the black bag? Okay. In the black bag, there is a fold-out trifold card. It's called the File of Life. Okay? It's a health history. So it has your allergies, your emergency contact, who your healthcare proxy is, do you have any health problems that we need to be aware of. What we recommend for that card is that you fill it out. If you're living in a house where a husband and wife are living together, put your name on it so that if the EMT does come, and hang it on the refrigerator. That's what we recommend. It talks about your religious beliefs, who your healthcare proxy is. Do you have a DNR? If you do, where is it located? Because we need to have access to those documents. So that's in all of your bags that you can have, but that again has your allergies and any kind of health problems that you have on it. Anything else? And I'm going to be around up here for a few minutes while you guys are doing your evaluations, that if you guys have any questions that you don't want to raise your hand for right now, I'll be more than happy to take them off on the side. Okay? Thank you so much, guys.